Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We're talking about talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. We talk about electric energy.
Oh
Well,
yeah, we've
well,
been off. We've been off on a tangent here even
yeah,
before
we
we went
have.
live.
Yeah. Um, we talk energy all the time, don't we?
We
It is
do.
kind of funny. It's just it's the world we live in. Um, anyways, it's funny. I was at the gym yesterday and I got distracted from my workout explaining energy economics to someone, and about how um, he was we and this guy's from Cameroon, and
Okay.
I was explaining to him, the problem is, Africa's not designed real well. For starters, they don't have good ports, they don't have good river infrastructure. So it's really hard to move. If you manufactured in, one of these countries, it's hard necessarily to get your goods to market, right?
Right.
Because you don't have a necessarily a good infrastructure. But I was like, you got to find some rich guy who's willing to build a very expensive manufacturing facility that would use help all these people get out of Stone Age type wages and be able to make a much nicer living. And then you need somebody like me who will bring them energy.
Right.
Okay. But I have to have that guy who's willing to pay for the manufacturing be willing to pay
Right.
for the electric bill
Yep.
for us to be willing to bring the energy. But at the same time, you have to have some infrastructure to be able to take
To
his
move to
goods,
move his goods.
to
Yeah.
move his goods somewhere
Yep.
else, right? And so you know, you have the chicken and the egg, but you also maybe have a third avenue there. I mean, you need infrastructure, you need somebody willing to pay for manufacturing, and somebody willing to bring in energy.
Right. And then a skilled workforce to make it happen.
Well, kind of. I mean, that's the idea is that, maybe you could bring in something that is brain dead simple enough that you could teach anybody how to do it.
Sure.
Okay, to a degree, right? Because you're certainly not going to go there hoping to hire, engineers and things
Right.
like that. But you never really know what you're going to get from that. Um, anyways, let's go ahead though, and we'll get to our first topic. Tesla U.S. sales dropped to a 4-year low despite cheaper models. Now we haven't gotten, I don't, well, we've gotten the stripped down Model Y here in October. We haven't gotten the stripped down Model 3 yet, I don't think. So Europe got the stripped down Model 3. But Tesla US sales for November were only 39,800 units. It's the lowest it's been in 4 years.
So
Um,
that's why they have this lease program that's so enticing. So I had one headline that I posted was it said, "Here's this one, this lease that too hard to ignore, but you should."
oh, Lord. What was the deal?
I Hey, I've been down this rabbit hole of doing my solar apiary, so I can't tell you. I just posted it. And I'll come back and read it later. Sorry, guys, but if you're interested, it's on the website.
Let's see. Um, yeah, it's hard to find. Um,
Yeah, if you type in just type in Tesla in the search box, it'll probably come up. I
well,
would think. If
oh,
not, my
let's see.
bad.
Tesla Model Y gets hefty discounts and more in final sales push. Tesla's offering discounts up to $1,500 off the new Model Y standards, $2,000 of Model Y premiums, and one free upgrade, which could be something like the higher end paint. Um, let's see. Oh, I don't know if it says anything about the lease deals. I know they've had some crazy lease deals in the past. Um,
Oh, you keep talking.
but
I'm going to go over here and look.
yeah, it's all right. Anyways, but Tesla um, is showing how well policy changes are directly impacting consumer buying behavior and market dynamics. But the decline is largely attributed to the expiration of federal EV tax credits, which had been driving purchases earlier in the year. But we've talked about this because we've already seen this. We saw this happen in Germany 2 years ago where they dropped all the EV tax incentives, and then it took about a year and it started really taking off again. So, it's just it's all relative, right?
Yeah, I found the article. If you do Tesla and you scroll down about 4 links, you'll see it says Tesla is practically giving away Model Ys with absurd financing and lease deals to the end of the year, but you should still skip it.
Oh God, that's funny. That's from Jalopnik. That's funny.
Yeah.
0% APR financing.
Yeah, but they're not the only ones doing that. Have you seen the latest Volkswagen ad? Their sign and drive thing. No upfront cost whatsoever. All the stuff you'd normally pay for, up down payments and first month, and and processing, signing, whatever. All those things that they get you to pay for with the Tesla or with the Volkswagen sign and drive deal. You don't have to pay any of those. Do we get advertising from Volkswagen? I don't think so. No.
It's funny. It's like before you go buying a Tesla and go to a Tesla dealer and slap some money down, take a scroll through Musk's feed and see if his values align with yours. If they do, go with God. Oh. If they don't, perhaps you should look elsewhere. That's pretty funny. It's like, yeah, what does that really matter? I mean, it's a good deal on a car, and
and if it's been given some much better reliability ratings by Consumer Reports, and generally scores pretty high when it comes to safety. So I don't know if the only thing is that you might raise the eyebrow of somebody who just has serious issues with Trump, but I still, when I'm out walking and a Tesla drives by, I wave at him.
Yeah.
I don't give him the bird. I wave.
Yeah. Well,
they're driving electric, and that's what counts.
Yeah. I don't know. It's really funny how absurd some of that gets, but they're obviously making some great deals, and it's in my mind, it's worth considering that. Did we ever cover? I had watched some videos. There's only one company for police departments that outfits Teslas. And so they did some videos. They had all these top people from various police departments who've never driven electric cars before come out and test Model Y police cars and Cybertruck police cars. And they were all like, I'm switching. They couldn't believe how both the acceleration and how fast they braked and how well they handled overall.
Oh yeah. Who was it? There was a multi-millionaire or somebody or another who bought like 8 Cybertrucks for the police department in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Gave him the Cybertrucks. I think there's only been just a handful of police departments, maybe only 1 or 2 in California, that have introduced them to their fleet. It would seem to me that it makes sense when I drive by some of the various police department offices, and you look in their fleet yard behind the chain link fence. There's a lot of cars sitting there that probably could just be charging. It's not like they're come in and a new shift takes over and the car's got to drive off. So I would think that would be the only thing is, just before coming down here this morning, I caught a glimpse of a YouTube, those little shorts that they have on YouTube. This guy was pulling his boat with a Cybertruck, and rather than backing down the ramp into the lake, I don't know why, but it was the Cybertruck and the boat were pointed down the ramp towards the lake. And for whatever, I don't know what happened, but the thing just took off into the lake, pulling the boat with us. And he's running, it's going like this. And, after the splash, you look, and damn, if the boat and the Cybertruck are floating across the lake.
I wonder if this was real. I
I
mean,
don't know. Yeah, maybe it's an AI. Who knows?
yeah. My favorite things are the people stealing packages off the porch. They make
Oh
these little
yeah,
videos, and you see the packages exploding with like blue powder or pink powder or something like that. And it's
or
like,
paint.
yeah, those are all fake, but they all look really cool.
Oh, they look
You
pretty
know?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, I'd love to see that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
some of these things are becoming so
so
dang real you can't tell, the
no,
fake from the real thing, which is a problem for me. Just somehow or another there needs to be Yahoo or YouTube or whoever needs to say if this you have to, how this when you post a video, you have to say this is for, this was for children audiences or this is for an adult audience, things like that. There needs to now be a checkbox that says this is for um, this is an AI
well, there is on
generated
YouTube.
image.
There is on YouTube, and
Okay,
I think
good.
TikTok. I think TikTok does as well, but I don't think that they really delineate to you that it's like I'm not, and I don't post to TikTok, but I know they're supposed to, but I see stuff on there that's clearly AI that it doesn't say it's AI,
Yeah.
but on YouTube, it's one of the check boxes, and it's very rare. We don't ever do um, AI videos, but
No,
um,
I am not a robot. I am
yeah,
not
there
a
you go.
robot. I am.
Yeah, yeah, that's what we'd expect a robot to say, though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um, but it's funny. I mean, occasionally in some of our clips, we may have to design something because we can't find any B-roll type footage
Right.
or something like that. But it's normally not that hard to find something applicable in our space.
Right. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what really infuriates me, I've been there. Occasionally, I'll watch some channel, and recent one they were talking about something that had to do with Christianity,
Mhm.
and the B-roll that they were showing were clearly Muslim men at prayer, and I think, who's editing this thing? Can't you tell those are Muslims? I mean, come on.
Well, I've seen something before where a news broadcast was trying to talk about the U.S. Navy, but it was clear that they were Russian warships in
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the picture. They weren't U.S. designed warships, but you just never know. It's that makes things a challenge sometimes. All right. One of our top stories: Ford and Renault have formed a strategic EV
Yeah.
partnership to combat Chinese competition in Europe.
Yep.
So, Ford is going to use Renault's Ampere EV platform to develop two affordable electric cars for Europe, launching in 2028. Renault will engineer and manufacture the vehicles in France. Ford will handle the design and driving dynamics. It's in direct response to competitive pressure from cheap
From
Chinese
all those
EVs
Chinese
flooding the
cars. Yep.
European markets.
Yep.
It could potentially revive the Ford Fiesta nameplate as an EV.
That would be
showing,
cool.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good one. Showing legacy automakers adapting survival strategies. That seems reasonable. It seems reasonable. It's good to see Ford doing something. One of my articles I wanted to cover today was the one about how from Yale Climate Connections, the rest of the world is lapping the U.S. in the
Yep.
EV race. So while EV sales only make up 10% of car sales in the United States, which it's skewed because the West Coast is 25%, and the rest of the U.S. really isn't near that 10% mark.
Yeah.
But except maybe like Colorado, there's probably a couple other states.
Colorado, fair number in Florida.
Yeah, but EVs make up 25% of car sales across the globe, but only 10% in the U.S. And
if you're talking Norway, it's 99%.
Yeah, and in China, it's half. It's staggering to think what a difference the car scene is in other parts of the world.
And I don't understand the psychology of that. It really. I think it was RJ, the head of Syringe, from Rivian, who said he said the people buying my trucks are equally split between Republicans and Democrats. Buying an electric car, at least his electric car, apparently isn't a political issue because the two parties are evenly divided in terms of the purchasers. So so why? What is the, you got so many people in America that live in suburbia where they have generally pretty easy access to charging their cars in the garage or their driveway or whatever. It's not like Europe where you got so many people living, in apartments and, in tight, congested urban areas. That here, maybe that's it. Maybe we're just spread out and people are afraid I can't drive to see grandma anymore. I don't know. But I wish I better understood the psychology of what's putting us off. We're a rich country. It can't really be the price, because you see people driving around with these trucks that are what's a new Chevrolet Silverado cost? Just a straight gas model is what, $45,000, $50,000, $60,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pick up a Nissan or a Chevrolet. I don't know what the Ford's Mustang's probably closer to 40, but you can pick up some of those cars for under 30 or the low 30s. I wish I could better understand why there is the objection on the part of Americans to not get into the race, right?
Well, so part of this is a difference in what we drive here in the United States. We tend to drive larger vehicles, right? And in the EV space, when we look at like in Norway, it's all Teslas, right? Or it's predominantly
pretty much
all Teslas. But in China, you're talking little cars, are the predominant.
Well, yeah, they're more smaller sedan. I wouldn't call them. They're not like, they do sell those little tiny cars, right?
Right.
They do. But you look at, how many people end up buying Teslas or end up buying Geelys or end up buying BYDs. And those aren't necessarily small cars. They're more, I could say some might be in the class of a Nissan Versa or a Chevy Cruze or something like that. But, it's not like they're running around. What's the latest Fiat? Somebody's going to bring the Topolino here, right? Which is the little tiny low speed thing. That's a tiny car, or the Kai models in Japan. But there's a wide choice of EVs that we could have. If you're now, nobody is making at this moment an electric minivan other than Volkswagen, right?
And that one's overpriced.
And that one's clearly overpriced. Yeah.
For a less than 300-mile range vehicle at the price point it's at, it hasn't sold what it should, and it's because it really isn't delivering what it should for the price.
Well, maybe it's, if we start seeing BYD, maybe what BYD needs to bring here is the Denza, right? The D6 or whatever it's called, because that gets you in the minivan market.
Isn't D6 a dozer? I think it's the D9.
Yeah, D9. You're right, the D9.
I think the D6 is a standard size bulldozer. I think.
Could be.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, the options are coming. It's just, why? In fact, interestingly, I had a conversation with somebody, I won't name who it is, but I had a conversation over coffee, and I was talking. We were walking back out to our cars, and I was saying how much I like my Chevrolet Bolt. And she said, "Oh, I need something bigger." Right. Mm-hmm. Well, big dogs in the family, lots of kids, I don't know. But we can see them. They're coming and they're out there.
The Escalade ESV, it's only $150,000.
Yeah, well, probably a little overpriced. But yeah, I mean, they're out there. So anyway, it's
I mean, LPPD
comment below, would you please?
Yeah.
people listening, and
This is the problem.
why
though.
am I having a hard time understanding why there's such resistance in America, the land of
Yeah.
the free, the home of the brave, against EVs that give you all of that?
The really large EVs are really expensive.
Yeah.
And if that's kind of the thing, we talk about the inexpensive EVs, but those aren't the ones that really are driving car sales in the United States. And so I'm not saying it's a mismatch, but it's just hard to make the EVs price competitive. I think Ford missed the boat by only having the Explorer in Europe as an EV. Why we don't have the electric Explorers for sale in the United States, which is one of their best-selling vehicles, that makes no sense. And I realize the Mach-E is kind of similar, but it's still not quite the same vehicle. They could have had
I don't think of that in terms of, the Bronco or the Explorer or that class of vehicle, which a lot of people like to have,
Right.
So yeah. Why did, well,
But I mean, think
apart
about
from
all the EVs. I mean, they're now you had the guy running for Congress who has the Jeep Wagoneer.
right.
It's kind of in that
Yeah.
that's electric.
Eric Moyer. Yeah.
Yeah. But what other electric EVs do you see that are American made that are kind of in that space? I mean, GM has a couple now. That we got the Equinox and one of the others. And they're selling well for GM,
Yeah.
right? But that's only this year. Those are 2025 models, so we didn't have that before. So I think it's a matter of time as selection starts to make more sense. And one of the things too people used to talk about with Tesla is Tesla doesn't look like other cars, right? It's really obvious when a Tesla is coming down the road. Doesn't matter what model. The only one that looks like it could be a normal car is the Model S. The Model S is, while it is still distinctive, some of them, especially if they're modded, are really hard to tell that they're not,
Well, you can tell you can tell a Cybertruck when it's coming down the road.
That's for sure.
No confusing it with anything else out there.
No. All right. So Rivian has a major AI and autonomy push, including custom chips and in-house development. Now, we already saw like a week or so ago that Tesla's announced they're getting into the custom chip market.
Yep.
And I think one of the problems is all of the chips are going to AI data centers. So Tesla and Rivian are both thinking now they need to get into that space as well in order to be able to have an efficient supply chain.
And the administration just decided that they would go ahead and sell NVIDIA chips to China.
Yes, at a big markup, and the government gets 25% of that.
Okay. Oh, no, now when you say the government, where in the government is it going?
I assume it's to the
Treasury Department,
the External Revenue Service. That's what they're wanting to call it. They're wanting to call tariffs the External Revenue Service.
External Revenue Service, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we're the ones that pay that.
Yeah. Well. So Rivian announced custom in-house silicon chips for autonomy at their Autonomy and AI Day on December 11th. They're launching a universal hands-free driving for Gen 2 R1 vehicles in December. It's either $2,500 one time or $49.99 a month. So that's half the price of, well, the $50 a month is half the price of the Tesla rate. Unlike Tesla, Rivian is adding LiDAR sensors to R2 vehicles for enhanced autonomous capabilities. Wall Street is impressed. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that is RJ, I think, has said that the cameras aren't enough. Cameras are not enough. You got to have LiDAR.
All right. Wall Street is impressed with the tech, but remains concerned about cash burn and EV market headwinds. Oh, RJ has been selling some shares. He sold 17,450 more shares recently.
Yep.
he probably needed to buy a house or something. That generally when you see something like that, it sounds like that was, 17,000. It sounds like it was about $700,000. He probably needed some cash for something.
Yeah, so it's what are they today? It's just scrolling past, it's coming up. No, we just scrolled past it. What is it, about 17, 18 bucks
Yeah.
at the moment? We'll see in a minute as the thing scrolls up.
Yeah, why is Nvidia down again today?
I don't
It's
know.
interesting how we keep seeing, some of them like Nvidia and AMD. Oh, but there's Rivian. What? It's up 15% today?
Really? I missed it.
Wow. What is going on there? Something's going on
Well,
there.
maybe because they're announcing the AI thing.
Yeah, Rivian. Apparently that's driven up the stock. It's actually up 16.6% so far.
Boy,
today.
your nuclear stocks though are down. It looks like.
Oh, they're so volatile. They bounce from day to day.
Yeah,
You just never know.
Oh, look at that. We're basically 19 bucks.
Let's see.
I've doubled my money.
There you go.
That's unusual. Most all my other stuff is in the tank.
Man, Oklo's down 9% today. I like following Oklo. That's one I think is really going to end up doing really well. But it's
what is Gates's company? Is it on there?
It's not public.
Oh, it's not public. Okay.
TerraPower.
Okay, yeah, TerraPower.
Yeah, but it's interesting to see all of the different ones. There's so many different technologies.
And they're building this where? They're building it in Wyoming?
TerraPower, yeah.
Well, what's the load that they're feeding?
I don't know. I'm not sure what they're trying to accomplish with that one. I'm sure it's just for a data center of some sort. But
in the middle of Wyoming?
I guess land's cheap.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, you got no shortage of wind in Wyoming. You ever driven through Wyoming?
Oh yeah, God. I've been through there. Absolutely.
It's hard to keep your car on the road. I don't know how truck drivers make it through Wyoming. You'd think.
Well, as you notice on the east face, as you're going through Wyoming, before you get up to the was that Promontory Point or wherever where they joined the two, the east and the western Pacifics. There's all kinds of wind turbines in that area.
Oh,
they just go on for, east, north, south ridges. They just go on for miles.
Yeah, no shortage of wind. Those things are just spinning. All right. Big tech shifts to an all of the above energy strategy for AI data centers. Tech giants are expanding from renewable only commitments to include gas and nuclear power. So when you think of a cooling tower on a traditional nuclear reactor, those are usually about 1 gigawatt per cooling tower.
Per tower?
Yeah. There's some data centers in Texas that needed 7 gigawatts. And they're all LNG. They're going entirely LNG burners for those.
So those are LNG, they're burning... they're basically heating water to steam, right?
Something like that.
Or are they just doing the LNG and straight into the turbines?
No, it's just gas turbines. It's just gas turbines.
Okay, so they're spinning then generators, and they don't need water. There has to be some, but probably not.
Yeah, I don't think they need a whole lot of water for that, but they need water for the cooling the data center. So I don't know where that they need water for the power side, but it's just crazy how much some of it is. Massive AI data center electricity demand is forcing pragmatic approach to power sourcing. So, we were talking about something before the show. I'm working on some waste to energy to eventually to nuclear projects. But the challenge is the waste to energy is producing, you can gasify trash, meaning you can take the trash and you can turn it into some form of gas that can be burned in a gas turbine that you would normally feed LNG to.
Right.
Okay. and it's actually coming out. You can produce it as LNG. You could actually create it as diesel. You could
Yeah.
create it as aviation fuel. It all depends on how you have your process set. But ultimately, that gasification of trash costs. There's something called a levelized cost of energy, and that's when you take the cost of building the facility along with the cost of maintaining the facility, your capital expenses and your operating expenses.
Then project that into the future.
Well, for trash, it's about 12 cents a kilowatt. Okay. Well, that's what we retail.
That's what we pay here. Yeah.
Yeah. In Nebraska. So trash doesn't really work. Now, in California, where that retail price is about 36 cents, it works out. Okay. In Hawaii, where that retail price is over 40 cents, it works out. When you're on pretty much any island nation in the world, you can make that work out. Now, even with nuclear, we can eventually get that cost down probably to like 6 or 7 cents. That's still, and it's possible to even get the long-term cost, depending on the reactor size, maybe all the way down to 3 cents. But at 3 cents, that only just makes it slightly cheaper than LNG, because you can provide LNG for about 4 cents. Okay, and you can provide coal for about 4 cents. You can provide wind for about 3 cents. And solar is a little more variable, because it really depends on where you're at.
The coal and the natural gas and stuff, generally speaking, has to be imported in from another source. So, if you're talking about the islands, few of them have any natural coal deposits or natural gas.
So one of the things what makes the waste to energy very attractive for the islands is that they generally have an overabundance of trash.
Overabundance of trash that was
no
brought in. Yeah, so send it out somewhere else.
Recycle it.
Recycle it. Yeah,
recycle it and use it for energy, and it makes that kind of interesting. But the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, is set to rule on data center colocation in the PJM grid on December 18th. PJM, I think that's East Coast.
Yeah, it's East Coast. That's Pennsylvania and Delaware and Maryland area.
Yeah, this represents a boon for nuclear and gas plant owners wanting to supply power-hungry data centers directly. Well, there's been lots of talk about, nuclear, but most of your data centers try to incorporate some green renewable elements. Most of them, they're trying to have a solar farm put somewhere. They're trying to have, maybe wind, but they're usually in a situation where they're investing and having the solar farm put 100 miles from them, and they're doing some type of swap for closer electricity versus transmitting. There's a lot of arbitraging goes on. They're selling energy somewhere to get it cheap, to buy it cheaper over here. So it's not really truly that energy is going right into supplying the data center.
Exactly.
But it does show they're being, quote, greener and a good citizen, right?
So, well, we were talking before we went on the air about this rabbit hole I went down this morning. And speaking of I was looking for a drink, sipping my coffee, and looking for the location of a schoolhouse, a one-room schoolhouse that the city bought, or the Historical Society bought back, 30 years ago, and moved it to downtown as a tribute to the heritage of Sarpy County. And so I was looking for the original location of that, and it turns out that right across the road from where this school used to be located is a Yahoo.com data center. I had no idea that was back in there. But interestingly, on that same road, you just take that road and go south, is a great big substation for our local power utility. So I'm wondering, I assume that they're actually feeding power from that substation into the Yahoo data center. I don't. We'll find out. We'll ask Mike.
Yeah, there you go. Well, every whoop, whoop. Yeah, everybody needs power, right? And it's interesting, it's just funny to see the Yahoo thing. It's like, is Yahoo still relevant? But they're here.
They're
They're
here.
here. They're still
Well,
cranking
do
along.
yahoo.com and they're there.
Yeah. Let's see. They talked about buying Google at one time and decided not to buy it. It's like, well,
Well, that was, yeah.
that was a
Now,
mistake.
now who's crying in their milk or whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. Elon Musk says DOGE was only somewhat successful.
Yeah, for him.
Yeah, and says he wouldn't do it again. He wouldn't do it again.
Oh, God, no, please.
Yes. Now, Bloomberg is reporting that Musk is planning on doing an IPO for SpaceX, and they're expecting to do the IPO at a $1.5 trillion valuation. It's nuts to think there's a whole bunch of corporations now that have a market cap over $1 trillion.
Oh, yeah.
NVIDIA, I know for a few days at least, had broken 5 trillion, had become the first $5 trillion company. It's just staggering to think that all those zeros. I mean, my calculator won't even hold all those zeros.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can get them all in a spreadsheet, but my trusty Texas Instruments
You
financial
mean like
calculator.
this
There
one?
you go. Yeah, Bill and I are holding up our antiques. For those of you who don't know what these are, these came out before cell phones and computers. And this one will give me present values and calculates interest rates and payments and
all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
And now all you got to do is just ask AI, and AI will
I know.
spit
I
it
know.
out to you.
I haven't asked it for that. It's funny. I do occasionally still use it for some multiplication and adding up some numbers rather than putting it all in a spreadsheet, but it is kind of funny. Investors may need to brace for risk as Musk balances Mars ambitions with commercial spaceflight. Musk's bandwidth increasingly stretched across Tesla, SpaceX, X, and government roles. He bought Twitter, and remember, what did they buy it for? Like 44 billion. But he's
like that. Yeah,
he's combined it with XAI and Grok, and it's now got a valuation of like 150 or 200 billion. Oh, that's worked out apparently. I
don't spend any time whatsoever on Twitter anymore. I never use Grok.
So GenSpark that I use, it incorporates Grok now.
Right.
But the thing is, you have Gemini, DeepSeek, Claude, Grok, and obviously ChatGPT. And ChatGPT's all of these other competitors are giving it a run for its money in terms of how advanced they are.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's not really a clear winner. Gemini is clearly at a minimum on par with everybody. And when you figure that it's tied into Google, and then you look at, like, if you're using Microsoft products, Microsoft is now basically incorporating Copilot into everything.
Oh yeah, I use that one. Probably of all the ones that I use Copilot the most frequently.
Now, I believe Copilot has a ChatGPT back end though. So I think I don't think it's complete. It's a complete standalone product. I think that they're using ChatGPT.
Well, what I like about Copilot is, whereas I will run out of whatever it is, space that I'm allowed to ask, like ChatGPT, I'll get involved with some kind of a long conversation about something, and it'll say, well, you're timed out. We'll come back and you can, resume in 3 hours time or whatever.
Oh,
whereas, these are all the free. I'm not at this point subscribing to anybody. And but Copilot, I can just keep going and going, and it's like the Energizer Bunny. It's just I can ask all the questions I want, and it responds. So, shh, don't tell anybody at Microsoft, though, please.
There you go. There you go. Well, they're doing all right, I think. Let me see. We don't even track. Oh, we do track Microsoft, don't we? I forget sometimes which ones we track, but it's on our ticker symbol. I'm just kind of amazed that the nuclear space is everybody's down today.
Every day, 8%. Wow, 5%.
Yeah, Oclo has been just kind of has just wild volatility. Thank God the EV stocks don't have the same volatility that.
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
Yeah, although
Rivian we're over 19 now.
Yeah, it's 16% upgraded. It's nuts, some of that. So nuclear energy is getting another policy boost and a $40 million New York workforce investment. So multiple states have added nuclear to their official clean energy definitions and law. I don't know if you saw that, how we have this, and we probably discussed it, that the Nebraska Nuclear Coalition or whatever is going on here. Yeah,
I don't know if we talked about it on air, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we may know some people on that that board.
Probably.
Well, I know Mike does. I don't know if I do, but I know for sure Mike does. But it's been interesting that we have these opportunities coming up here in rural Nebraska, but New York governor has announced $40 million from the NYPA. New York Power Association, probably.
New York Power Authority. Power Authority.
Okay. For advanced nuclear workforce development. So they're going to train people for working in the nuclear space. Because
they're, everybody that designed those original reactors are like me. They're retired and living off pensions now at this point.
They made some movie, I think it might have been called Battleship or something. They had a battleship battling some aliens lived under the water.
Exactly, right.
And they had to bring back all these 70, 80, 90-year-old people.
Sailors that knew how to operate the battleship.
Yeah, it's like, I'm wondering if that was supposed to be the target audience for the movie, too. It's like Senior Power or something. I don't know, but it was just, kind of funny. And I've dealt with this. I was kidding a civil engineer. So civil engineers often design subdivisions and, the plans to make sure the dirt is right so you can build on it, before you do your architect type work. And I always kid when I talk to a civil engineer that I don't know, I go, I hope you're training the next generation. It's like, oh, I am. And then it's like a couple of days later, I get news. It's like, oh, he's retiring. It's like, It's like, that whole.
Well, that's like some systems apparently within the U.S. government still operate on COBOL.
Oh yeah,
and nobody knows how to program in COBOL anymore.
Good Lord, that's hard to fathom. I see a lot of opportunities in various industries that are ripe for taking over. And sometimes I just hear things about where companies are still operating on crazy old technology that are,
FAA. The FAA is still operating off of floppy disks.
Oh, God. Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to fathom that some of this is going on. But
at least that's the story. So let's.
Yeah, who knows? Let's see. All right, let's move on to our next story. Lucid stock hits all-time low despite production being on track.
Yeah, but they're up today.
0.16. They're up 2 cents. They're up 2 cents today. Lucid shares fell 55% in 2025. Trading near an all-time low of 1322, despite being on track to build 18,000 EVs this year. The stock's now cheaper than Rivian on some metrics, despite premium positioning. Morgan Stanley's downgrade to sell with a $10 price target reflects concerns about the luxury EV market viability. That's interesting to see, but we always talk about the fact that it's propped up by the Saudis, and I wouldn't go betting against Lucid just for that reason. Let's see where it comes up here. Lucid's price is where today?
There you are, right there.
We're
1285, up 0.02%. So
yeah, so it's even.
Oh no, that's a cent, right? 2 cents? Yeah, 2 cents.
1285. Yeah, so it dropped a good bit yesterday. Let's see. All right. Well, I think that's all I've really got to.
Yeah, I want to get back to my rabbit hole.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, we'll talk about that rabbit hole maybe on some other show when I get a little further along, a little bit more comfortable with the numbers and the idea. But this is fun. I'm spending a lot of time with AI trying to figure out if this all makes economic sense. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's the challenge with anything that's related to green energy is can you make it economically viable? The other thing is too, on your calculations for solar, are you using the most recent actual numbers for buying an entire acre's worth of solar panels? Okay, and so that's kind of where the problem comes in, is if you're using numbers that it's gathering from, say, 2 years ago, those numbers aren't relevant anymore.
Yeah.
And you should probably be able to extract at least 30% more power.
I now have communication with two solar providers. So what I'm more interested in at this point is trying to figure out does the alignment that I'm proposing, right, typical south-facing, tilted at a latitude angle, does that make sense compared to, let's say, a single axis tracker that does this east and west, which is kind of similar to what I'm proposing, where it just stands them up straight and they don't move. They just stand there fixed. And getting those numbers and trying to make those, understand that at our latitude and our climate and sun condition, I still need to figure those numbers. We need to collect data on those numbers.
Nice.
But as far as prices of the panels, I can get that. I'm not concerned about that.
Okay. Anyways.
So there we are.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll be back on Tuesday. Otherwise, folks, have a great weekend.